I want you folks to play these 3 games from the NLA. Daily pick 3 cash flow and play with. You will be supporting sports and culture, nation building and our future. So go out and play, folks, make it a must. You will see what the National Lottery is doing for us. When you play pick 3 cash flow and play with, the NLA will support you all the way.
Starting September 30th, Monday to Friday, these 3 games will be drawn mid-morning, 9:45 a.m., midday, 12:45 p.m., and evenings, 7:45 p.m. The National Lotteries, supporting sports, culture, and nation building.
Sunday money day.
Yeah. Welcome to the ride. Welcome to Tuesday on the ride. Almost not Thanksgiving, Lord of mercy. It's Valentine's night. How are you guys doing on this great Valentine's night? Some of you probably in bed, snuggle up with your significant other, you know what I mean? And you're still watching it, right? I appreciate that. Ezran, Forrester, yeah, you snuggle up. Lydia, snuggle up. That's fine. But tell the hubby or tell the wife, listen, you have to make time for ride along. Because today, we have some stuff to talk about. Thanks. Oh, thank you for the stars. I love when you guys send us some stars. Thank you so much for the stars. We appreciate it. Happy Valentine's. Happy Valentine's Day. Onika, thank you so much. I know. It's hard to debate between if to watch right along or if to go and continue snuggling up. But listen, this is only an hour. And we have important matters to discuss. Shami Spice, pick up yourself. We have some important matters to discuss, guys. Today we are digging a little bit deeper, right? Trying to find some more information. Yeah, we're digging a little deeper, trying to find more information into the MNIB. As you guys know or may not know, the government, the current administration, have taken the decision to dismantle MNIB or reformat the MNIB. Of course, it would not be named MNIB no more. There will be a new institution with private government and private partnership. It'll take a new kind of shape. But there need to be a lot of conversation into why the Marketing and National Importing Board pretty much went bankrupt. As the Prime Minister said, and we had endless conversation. Even yesterday, we had the Minister of Agriculture on the program. MNIB got itself into some major financial problems and issues, crisis. And the government realized that the only way that it could have assisted, or the only way it could have fixed this problem, is to just get rid of the whole thing and start all over again, rebuild it from the bottom again. All right. So today he's a former member of management of the MNIB, and he's also a senator in the Parliament of Grenada, the lower house. He's a senator for the farmers and fisheries. So he represents the farmers and fisheries, and he wants to lend his voice to this conversation because, as he said, there have been so many people talking about this, but he wants to get his voice on record to bring it all into perspective. In addition, we had an opportunity to speak to Ruggles Ferguson, who is an attorney of law, and he was the attorney that worked alongside the Integrity Commission in that investigation into the MNIB. And he's going to tell us all about their finding, which is alarming, by the way, if you guys didn't see that report. So we're going to talk about all of this stuff. A lot of stuff to talk about. A lot of stuff to talk about. Bless up, John Grant. Big up yourself. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes. All right, guys, so a lot to talk about. And while we're waiting to connect with Senator Roderick St.Clair, I really seriously have to take this opportunity to wish all the members of my staff, all our supporters, all of our viewers, seriously, a very happy Valentine. For those of you who celebrate Valentine's, because not everybody celebrates Valentine's, right? If you do, in fact, celebrate Valentine's, happy Valentine's Day to you. I know it's a very awkward day, as I said. A lot of people out on dates, a lot of people out in bars, hanging out with a significant other, but still you took the opportunity to share that time with us, and we really appreciate it. Thompson Kado, big up yourself. Thank you so much. All right, so let's get straight into it, guys. I don't want to keep you guys any longer than we need to. And help me welcome, first time on the program, a good friend. We're from the same area, the same area. I knew him as a kid, going to SAS, and I was proud to see that when he became a part of management of MNIB, and then subsequently after that, now he's a senator. So he have been doing a lot. Mr. Roderick St.Clair, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm there, Junior. Good to see you, and of course, greetings to the rest of the family. Of course, yes. And greetings to all the listening public. I would say globally, because you're a global outfit. And of course, we want to wish everyone a happy new year. I know it's way down, but I'm using your platform to connect with the various listeners and viewers.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So I know you are here in the capacity of the senator with responsibility for the farmers and fisheries, and you would be speaking on that behalf. But I want to go back a little bit because you were also employed at the Marketing and National Importing Board. What was your tenure like, and what was your position during that tenure at the MNIB?
Well, I would have spent just over 2 decades at the MNIB. I would have had several different positions there, from quality assurance officer, marketing manager, supply chain manager, I think that business development manager. So that would have been some of my broad portfolios then. MNIB, I got there sometime in 1996. Actually, it's a funny story, Junior. I actually didn't do like many others who would stay out away. I came back home after school and came in here like a Sunday night or Saturday night, and there I saw a letter that I have to go to an interview in the MNIB the Wednesday. And it's interesting if I missed my flight because there was snow during that time when I came back, sometime in February. With delays and so on, I may have missed that job interview opportunity then. So so that's where it all started. I mean, from then in my previous encounters teaching at my alma mater, SAS, for many years also. So I've been through that space at the same time.
Yes, yes. And also a farmer. You're a
Yeah,
farmer.
it's interesting too, because when I left the Institute for Further Education in way back in the middle 80s, early 80s, I basically was home for almost a year,
Uh-huh.
trying to find a work, but my work was actually doing farming in our lands in Mount St. Evans. Back then, I had extension officers, people like Lazarus from Paradise there. I remember they coming to visit my spawn farm with cucumbers and beans and so on. Those bring back very good memories there for me, because I turned to that, helping Fimbo Hopkins in his farm. That time they just started the Ladig Farmers Group and so on. And I always recall one of my field tours that I would have gone on to accompany Hopkins and others to meet then George Brizard, Minister of Agriculture, out in the Simon area, visiting a farm just before that Paradise Wooden Bridge on the right
Hmm.
hand side. So those are vivid memories of that. And of course, went on to teach. I was also working in the produce chemist lab with Dr. Marcel and his team there. So I've learned a lot of different areas, being a student of science and chemistry and so on in my upbringing. So it's kind of that space back then in my other life, But
Yeah, yeah.
so I've been inside that agriculture space from a little
You,
boy.
you know the thing.
Yeah.
It's not like
Well, I don't think I know the thing. I mean, I learned. No, the thing about it I would tell is that I've been very fortunate in my life to be around a lot of good people. As I mentioned, people like Matthew Bob, people like late John Vivek used to work in marketing board, Reference Profit, and so on. Haida Rahim, and I could list a long list who have been very helpful to me and who I have good friends and connected with all of these folks even today in my life, because they have brought me to where I'm at. And I still have discussion. Dr. Marcel come, we sit down, we chat, we discuss ideas. He asks me for my opinions. I give him my views, and I also call him. And so I think this has been very good for me.
Mhm.
And that approach, even in my travels, in my previous work, visiting different parts of the world, having network in different countries, that has also helped me. If I have a challenge, I could pick up the phone, I could call them, I could email them, and they
Right,
will gladly support me. So I just share that to show that, Junior, moving from A to B is not on your own,
right.
and of course, believing in God and having good friends and family to support you is very important.
Yeah. Let's talk about your tenure at Marketing Board. Again, you are not here in that respect to speak on that.
Sure,
You're
no.
there.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Well, yeah,
I really wanted to make that clear. But I
yeah.
wanted to talk about your tenure, that point in time, as marketing in MNIB. Were there ever a time that you were concerned about the management structure or how the process was working at MNIB?
Well, the truth is, I don't want to get into this sort of that sort of detailed discussion. I think certain things I wouldn't go into. I think I have to respect as my employer then certain opinions and details. I have to be careful. It's not good practice. But I wouldn't go into about those areas. But I would say that the farmers we know have always had concerns as to the best service. And that I know there have been several encounters, meetings, discussions, and how you can do better to service them. I know they have a lot of challenges. Some of the challenges are beyond MNIB challenges. Some of it was able to be solved collaboratively with the Ministry of Agriculture in particular. In fact, I would say that when Marketing Board have been under the Ministry of Agriculture, um, I can attest that you could have seen much more success, much more deliverables, much more coordination of the agricultural landscape in Grenada. The
Mhm.
moment it starts shifting to a non-Ministry of Agriculture line minister, Um, it's like having a issue with your denture, but you're going to a
A
dermatologist.
gynecologist. A gynecologist.
Yeah, some sort of. So I think that has been the some of the misalignment
Right.
in terms of that. I think that MNIB overall has not gotten the type of support from the government. In fact, I always sort of wondered sometimes, why is it the government keep bashing marketing board when marketing board is a child? It's like sit down, lay the agenda, say, hey guys, these are the priorities. I remember sometime, we do our yearly planning, and one of my colleagues will say, Rod, they come here and say, Rod, what is the government view on this thing? What is the and I successive governments, how
Uh-huh.
we planning here, but government, where is the mandate? Outside of the act, I'm not even going into the act.
Right.
Yeah, there are key programs of the government, right? Of the farmers, of the consuming, of the landscape that they need to say, okay, we're going to use this to focus on this. So I remember, for example, when the ministry and the government say, okay, let us see how we can increase production in carrots. We had cool rooms full of carrots, maybe 30, 40, 50,000 pounds of carrots,
Mhm.
locally produced. They were packaged with nice printed bags. You could speak to people like Cecil Barra and so on who were in the Ministry of Agriculture then. And those were coordinated programs, root crop programs, sweet potato, yams, and all of those. So what I'm saying is that you could have seen that agenda going
Right.
there. But so I think that. So sometimes people say, well, okay, marketing board has lost its way. And sometimes I trying to figure out, well, what was the way? you
Mhm.
know and for me, the reference point for its way is to go to the act, because
Right.
the act is what I mean. We have to understand what the act does. The act outlines all the different activities that need to be done. It doesn't mean that you have to do everything, but
Right.
what are all of these are the priorities, and how does that align to, say, the government agenda? How does it align to the current situation as it stands? So you evolve, but it doesn't mean that you have to change the act. You understand? Make a different downscope. So I think those directions. So for example, marketing board under the act can involve in milling. We know the amount of corn flour we import into this country. You may say,
Right.
well, okay, well, the management and the board should have think about that. Okay, well, that's a good point. But at the same time, if you honor the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Fisheries, that alignment, then you could easily fit into those programs. You can get meals, get stuff, and able to do more of those areas. So I think that the boat has been lost in those areas. Of course, the farmers would complain, and for political, these are votes, 10,000 farmers plus. So sometimes the support that is needed, you don't get those support. But it's good to cost marketing board, because the farmers costing marketing board, so we could able to get a vote. And it
Right.
doesn't work like that. You know, the farmers
Mhm.
want to see something better. And sometimes marketing board hands is tight. But you see, at the same time, the marketing board has done a lot of good things. And I think that we missing a lot. And a lot of farmers have made their livelihood, send their children to school through the MNIB. I mean, we
Right.
could we could list a whole lot of them. And so, for example, I remember when bananas export was banned from Grenada, right? And still, the banana farmers were there. Marketing board converted some of his cool rooms, not even converted, just utilized it, the cool room,
Mhm.
and started ripening bananas, right?
Right.
Then you had a case where the Black Sigatoka came into being. The Ministry of Agriculture literally had no spirit team operating. They had no, those equipment was derelict. These are real things. And
Right.
so invested in those things, and even the different type of treatment that are needed. And it wasn't even um chemical. It was safe, organic stuff. We did all the research, and we were able to support the farmers with that. I remember Sorosop. Sorosop has this issue with this blackening and so on. We hired people, and we provided spraying services for the farmers because the Ministry of Agriculture was not provided. Only I think recently they started, and I heard that they send home the workers. So I'm not too sure how this sort of stuff is being spread now. So we also speak about after Hurricane Ivan,
Right.
everything was mashed down. I remember, going way up in Cloget and Belvedere and stuff like that, and we see the farmers in that state, and we were able to work with them,
Right.
as the MNIB, and get those farms back up. That we were able to get bananas back up and also export bananas to Trinidad. We were able to do
with all these activities and goodwill and things that you're speaking about, the MNIB has been accused or been plagued with bad management, as what has been reported. Funds missing, misallocation of funds, and even corruption. Right? Is during your tenure there, do you think that stemmed from the management core, which is the day-to-day management core, or information coming down from board aspect, or even oversight from the line ministry, which at the point was the Ministry of Finance? Where is that corruption, or where is that bottleneck that plagued the organization in terms of the corruption that we're hearing so much about?
I would say, and I wouldn't categorize it whether it's corruption or allegation. What I would say is that the minister, line minister, need to have that connect with the board. I mean, I think that is how things have to happen. If I'm the minister, a line minister for any ministry, I will want, if it's every quarter, to sit with the board, sit with the chairman, and even at some time even with the management, to make sure that we work collectively for a common purpose. So serving way over 10,000 farmers, the family is almost 50, 60,000 persons. This to me is a dedicated effort. So you cannot want to be a minister, line minister, and not meeting with your board only when there is a problem you're showing up. Right. Because even when you do the government budget, and that's how I know this used to be happening, and that's what I know. I know that when even the national budget that used to be taking place, there used to be a national agriculture consultation. It would happen either in Grenville most time, and that was a big deal. And all the different aspects of agriculture, and marketing board, cocoa, all the different persons would involve, farmers, fishers, etc. And then this information is coordinated by the Ministry of Agriculture, and then that feed in to the agriculture plan for the next agenda. And then inside of that, now the government now could adopt those areas, and that now start forming a national plan. And that is when we work together to implement and to get things done. But when you lose all of that, it's like, where are you going? Where are you going? So I think that movement away from the ministry, I recall again from my experience, Minister left in during that time was remarkable. In fact, that board, I would tell you, 2008, 2012 board on I think it's Claudia Alexis. That was a very competent board, very competent team that was selected. Whether they are political or not is a different discussion. But if you look at the resume and you look at some of their achievements, they would have contributed to stabilizing. Because after Hurricane Ivan, marketing board was at ground zero. Fresh produce agriculture was down. And we are able to bring this company back up to positiveness by 2010, 2009, 2010, thereabout. Right. Even if we had to take a loan to start back after Hurricane Ivan. So the point is that with assured management and focus, you can't able that, and then you might have said best you close it down because you literally had no money, you had no goods in the country. In fact, what we did wasn't only just that, we were able to seek support from USAID, and that time I think George Vincent, he was the head of that whole program in Grenada, and marketing board was able to coordinate the production of soursop and avocado and breadfruit in significant acreage. So people like Belmont Estate, River and Twine Estate, and all of those areas benefit from those investments. And it was not selfish investment. It was
Right.
something to be done. So all the source that we have seen today, most of it, the breadfruit we have seen today, is the works of the MNIB. Sure,
Right. No,
that
I
we
understand that, but we're gonna dive deep into that. I want to find out about. There have been talk of alleged corruption, systemic. It seems like I'll say systemic because it has been ongoing. Systemic corruption in marketing board. Where is that coming from? Is it from the board? Is it from the day-to-day management, or do you think it's from political oversight?
I would, when I say, you mean the statements or the act of corruption that you're referring to?
Well, the act of corruption, missing money, misallocation of money.
I know, but it's funny, because I say I just refer to myself sometimes as a quote unquote, a local language, a sort of stupidity, because
Okay.
because no, because I kind of sometimes when I hear those statements, I because I not involved anyway close to the finance accounting department. You will say, well, yes, he was in management, but that's a different story. So sometimes I
Right.
hear people speak about this missing money, and I'm trying to figure out, well, how we getting a chance to go and steal this money and take this money, and I really don't know. What I know, of course, there's the Integrity Commission investigation. They would
Right.
have done this study. The report is a public report, and of course, that would say its course. So I would say that this to me is the official factor in terms of that. I cannot speak about whether there is corruption there. I could speak about the programs and activities and functions that I was involved in, such that to bring betterment for the farmers. And I could write a book to you on that aspect. In
Right.
terms of whether the accounts didn't give a report and those matters, the board would speak to that. I think the chairman has spoken significantly back then to that, and the others. So I didn't do any investigation into
Right.
that. I was investigating whether we had goods on the ground, whether we need to get more farmers to produce stuff, whether we had lettuce seed and cabbage seed so that we could be able to feed our nation. That
Okay.
has always been my focus and continue to
Let's
be
speak
my
on that one. Let's speak on that one because there have been also allegations that marketing board at the end of the day absorb a lot of spoilage. I mean, a lot of wastage, meaning just
yeah,
as the same thing, you pay for something, you then use it, you then make the money from it, you lose extra money.
yeah,
Why did that? Why
yeah.
was that happening?
Well, I will tell you, spoilage overall in the fresh produce business is a serious. Once you are dealing with fresh produce, in fact, I was telling someone there is something called senescence. Senescence, the moment you pick a mango, the moment you cut a lettuce, the moment you cut a cabbage, the moment you harvest a tania from the ground, you cut
Mhm.
a green fig for it starts what you call going through a natural death process. So you must understand that. And that death means that it's gonna spoil in time. Of course, you could use different temperature, humidity control, to waxing, etc., to preserve things. Okay, so that is, and of course, you could do some level of processing and alteration. So I just to understand that part. But at one point, so you always would have some degree of spoil. We have to understand that. We could jump high, we could jump low. How we treat with that.
High degree of spoilage or a smaller
No,
degree?
no, I'm coming to. Well, it depends. It depends, Junior. I will tell you. And let me explain. And it goes, for example, a farmer can harvest some lettuce this evening
Mhm.
that he will deliver to you tomorrow. And he harvests it and he puts it this evening in some bags. And by the time tomorrow comes and he brings it, it may look good. But by the following day, that lettuce will start deteriorating.
Mhm.
It's a lot of those, maybe when he carry it in the back of some vehicle. So we have to be very careful. Breadfruit, for example, you pick breadfruit, and if you pick breadfruit too late in the day, by evening time, the breadfruit will just be soft on you. And so on. So I just want to explain, because sometimes folks spoke about these things, and you would go in the market, you'd buy it and you'd bring it home. That's different to dealing with this volume in those cases. Of course, though, there was once the government, well, I don't know what the board, maybe too, maybe on instruction, would have speak about this open buying policy. Or the chairman would have spoken about that, meaning that how do you increase the purchases of goods from the farmers. Of course, doing that, even if the quality is good, you have to look at how do you release this. And then the whole speaking about, oh, you compete with the farmers. And I know farmers who would sell products to marketing board, and they know who they are. And by the next hour, you see them packing up in front of Young Street in St. George's with other components of the product, selling for even lower prices than even they sold to you, selling in the public. And then they would say, well, marketing board, doing all kind of wrong things.
Right.
So I'm not saying that is widespread, but I'm just giving you instances. So if you do that, but the point is, Junior, it brings the issue about how do you treat with that. And so I hear people speak about, well, marketing board should not be cooking food, they should not be doing all of these things, this juice they sell in, and sometimes you wonder, well, what do you do? If you can convert some of these items to healthy dishes that you can able to sell to our nations, right? What really is wrong with that? Some of the folks who is even speaking about this food thing actually is interested in. Wasn't even wrong 15, 20 years ago. Maybe you if you understand what I'm saying, and all of a sudden it is expedient to say marketing board, you shouldn't be involved in that. You're competing with a restaurant.
Well, yeah, that too is very interesting point.
But the fact of cooking, what you're doing is that you're also reducing your spoilage, and you're increasing utilization. That persons who eating those things, sometimes it's different menus and so on, they can now take these items and start able to buy and able to utilize. All that has been part of some of the strategies. I mean, speaking on the local space, I'm not even going to the export space, which we'll speak about in a while. So these are just some of the, even people speak, well, there is no agro processing, why they didn't juice? And I say, well, maybe marketing board didn't do sufficient work in promotion, because I know you could go in and get frozen juices, pulp, whether it's oranges, whether it's grapefruit, whether it's soursop, frozen 1 pound, 2 gallon, 1 gallon, and you can buy them. Hotels, restaurants has bought them, individuals have bought them. So yes, maybe they need to scale it up in the way it's done, etc. But I was involved personally in the equipment procurement from this guy is a Grenadian. He's based in Dominica. Can't remember his name. I think he's not Duncan. I think he starts with D anyways. But to set up those things. So sometimes you wonder, where are we? And that sometimes make me wonder. These are things that was done. These things can be scaled up. Even the whole issue with Windfresh, I had some discussion about Windfresh and the facility there. And I know that Windfresh are used on several occasions, squeezing juices, pulping fruits, and having them frozen there, and be able to use throughout the year extensively, and so on. So I think it could also have been maybe some lack of public awareness, and also the ministries and the ministers maybe not knowing what is going on to be able to support the agenda. So I just wanted to share, even the agro processors. I mean, and we keep speaking of the farmers, and of course, the agro processors are a significant component of the business. I heard one of your guests saying yesterday about the going marketing, but he couldn't find a cheese strike, and I said, but somebody fool him and give him a wrong direction, because marketing board is where you go, you get all your tamarind, all your forge, your all of those things. In fact, I recall the day before Hurricane Ivan, flying Turkey, Cecil Belford, you know him very well. We had a meeting with him right in the Bureau of Standards, discussing how we can help him and work along with him in getting our same local agro-processed products through his digital platform and so on. So, Big Mac in New York, similarly, those dialogues. So, but what we need also from the diaspora and Junior is that we need more persons in the diaspora to become entrepreneurs and
I want to
participate in that ground. So, for example, why is it? I heard you mention about Miami. Who in Miami? Who is this Grenadian in Miami who will set up a little shop that you can supply them with different fruits and vegetables and the different agro products, such that the Grenadian diaspora and others can. Where is that entrepreneur of the hundreds of thousands of Grenadians out and that space? Because what I find happening, Junior, you look at you out there. I don't live out there, but the Guyanese, the Jamaicans, the Trinidadians, they either have their family or they have some sort of connect there, and so they can move their stuff in Grenada. Outside of even Strike Marketing Board, even if you put Tom and Mary doing it, where is that connection on the other side to manage the business?
That's not happening now. Hopefully with the new advent, the new makeover of the marketing of the new marketing board, we'll see some action in that department. But
we're going to talk about that later, because I don't know if there will be a new marketing board, because my understanding is that the act would be repealed. Well, of course, the act must come to Parliament and hopefully it will be repealed. I say hopefully because, they have to be a process. You can't sit down and automatically think you'll repeal. We have to go through a process of debate and voting. And of course, if it repealed, it means that it doesn't exist, it done, it finished. So you cannot have another marketing board. So we must not try to find a politically correct word. These guys.
I want to get to that, but I don't want to skip over.
But I don't want you to leave that, because I know how the mind operates.
Right.
To calibrate. But so let's go.
So the big question that a lot of people have been asking, and this is, I could see it on the chat, everybody wants to know about.
I lost you. Hello? I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure what's happening. Are you there, Junior? I don't know what happened. Okay. Are you there? I'm not hearing you. I'm not hearing you.
I want you folks to play these 3 games from the NLA. Daily pick 3 cash flow and play with. You will be supporting sports and culture, nation building and our future. So go out and play, folks, make it a must. You will see what the National Lottery is doing for us. When you play pick 3 cash flow and play with, the NLA will support you all the way.
Hi guys, so let me just apologize for the breaking transmission. We just lost all power on our studio end, and it just cut off. Everything just went off. But I hope everybody's hearing me now. Roderick, are you there? Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I'm here. So let's kind of come down here. Yeah, okay.
Okay. No, we just lost power here in studio. And everything just went off. So that's what happened in a nutshell. But what I was saying, Roderick, what I want to get to this point of the program. Everyone is asking about those funds. Now, you may not be in a position, or not in a position, because you never dealt with it firsthand. But earlier I got a chance to speak to Ruggles Ferguson. Now, the accusation or the investigation stemmed from an interview that was published in a newspaper where the chairman of the Marketing and National Importing Board made allegation that a lot of, or a particular investment or money was spent in some aspects, right? And he knew absolutely nothing about it. So I got a chance to speak to Ruggles Ferguson, who further clarify the Integrity Commission investigation into MNIB. Check this out. And Roderick, you could give me your reaction to it on the other side. Check this out. All right, folks. So we're joined now with Attorney Ruggles Ferguson, who was a part of that Integrity and Public Life Commission investigation into the MNIB. Ruggles, thank you again for taking time out to chat with us here on the ride to add further clarification on what transpired with MNIB. How are you doing today?
Okay, great, Junior, and good evening to your listeners, and happy Valentine's Day to your listeners. It's one of those hectic days again, but duty calls, and I'm happy wherever I can assist in clarifying areas of the law, especially areas of the law of public interest.
Yes.
I'm happy to do so.
So, Ruggles, take us through this a bit, right? What role did you play in that investigation into the MNIB?
Well, I was the attorney for the commission. Of course, the commission itself, there was a team, there was an investigation team conducting the investigation. So I merely, provided legal advice when there were legal issues arising to provide legal advice and guidance in the conduct of the investigation. And of course, as you would know, there were challenges to the Integrity Commission's authority to conduct the investigation in the first case. That matter went to the High Court, seeking a declaration that the Integrity Commission had no jurisdiction to pursue this investigation. Before the High Court, the court ruled that the Integrity Commission did have jurisdiction to conduct this investigation. And then there was an appeal of that decision, and the appeal court, the appeal was eventually discontinued. But what happened is during all these challenges, there were holdups to the investigation because one had to address serious High Court matters and serious challenges that went to the very core of the authority of the Integrity Commission.
What sparked that initial investigation?
The commission, together with Douglas Menz, senior counsel in Trinidad, in those court actions.
I was asking, what sparked that initial investigation into the MNIB?
The initial spark actually came from a newspaper report carrying an interview of a former chairman of the MNIB, who was saying quite publicly in that interview that he was unaware of certain activities and developments within the MNIB, and not just routine activities, but certain activities and developments that impacted seriously on the cash flow and the financial activities, and potentially could have crippled and may have contributed to the crippling of the entity itself. And that basically had to do with, for example, there was a particular foreign entity that had taken court action against the MNIB that actually got a judgment against the MNIB and had actually moved to enforce that judgment, a judgment for a substantial sum of money. And the chairman indicated that he did not know about it, and they were seeking now to enforce the judgment at the pain of serious adverse consequences for the MNIB, and that severely impacted on the cash flow of the MNIB. Now, when a member of the public speaks and may make criticisms or may say certain things,
right?
Then it could constitute hearsay and it might be ignored.
Right.
But when the chairman of the organization, the entity, is saying that he did not know of certain developments and saying so quite publicly in an interview, that triggered an investigation process, which was later beefed by a complaint, and a formal complaint that came before the Integrity Commission.
Are we talking about major financial mismanagement, corruption? Does it fall in that in those lanes?
Yes. Well, first of all, it's certainly pointed and probably opened the way to serious, for example, communication issues, whether those were innocent or otherwise. But when a board says, listen, I don't know what is going on.
Right.
So it brings into question, and that's an important element of the investigation and the ultimate recommendations.
Right.
Is the role of the CEO, Chief Executive Officer, who basically serves as the operations manager, the day-to-day operations, the role of the CEO, the role of the board.
Yes.
And then you have the role of the line ministry, because there's a line ministry and a line minister for MNIB. So all of this, and because of the seriousness of it, if it can be so serious that you owe a debt to someone,
right?
That debt is substantial. That person is making demands for payment,
right,
of that debt.
Yes.
That person brings you to court.
Yes.
That person gets a judgment. That person seeks to enforce the judgment, and you still do not know.
No, that
and it's a substantial judgment, because when now a creditor seeks to enforce the judgment, then based on the manner of enforcement, it can have a crippling effect,
right,
on the operations of your entity. And I think it is in that context,
right,
that the whole investigation started.
So at that point, before the Integrity Commission actually went into the investigation, were anybody prosecuted from the MNIB for what is being termed as some kind of major financial mismanagement? Was anybody prosecuted at that point in time?
No. Well, there was no, of course, there was no prosecution. What you had and what triggered the investigation was an allegation.
Right.
And the allegation in this case comes from the ultimate head of the organization,
which is the chairman.
Because the chairman or the CEO, you can say, is the ultimate head.
Yes.
So when this chairman makes an allegation, it's different from if an ordinary employee or member of the public makes an allegation. So first and foremost, what happens is that there would be an investigation with respect to the allegation to determine whether the allegation was true or not. And it did not center just simply on the allegation, because the investigation was fairly broad. So, for example, the investigation touched the role, in a sense, of statutory corporation. It just happens that this was MNIB.
Right.
But the recommendations that flowed from that investigation impacts all statutory corporations.
Right.
Because
All right, so we're still here, and we're talking again with Senator Roderick St.Clair. A mouthful said there by Ruggles Ferguson, who were part of that Integrity Commission investigation. Based on what you heard, what are your thoughts? Were you aware of all of this stuff happening?
Well, I would say that the investigation was done by the Integrity Commission, Junior, and they are in the best position to display the findings. I don't think that I'm in a best position to speak to the findings. The findings, to me, is an official document based on my understanding, and anything I say in here is, I don't think it's important. I think what is key is Mr. Ruggles spoke on behalf of the report on integrity, and I stand in what I heard, or what I hear,
Right.
as the general public. But I cannot dispute in any way or collaborate, because he sits in a panel of interviews surrounding that. So I that's my response to that.
Right. Okay. No problem. No problem. Now, one other thing, because I know you really want to speak on the responsibilities for which you're
Yeah, because
responsible.
that is the substantive issue. I know we segue into that because for public interest, I understand that, because as we say that the Integrity Commission did its work, and whatever would proceed will proceed. I think we have to let the law, or let whatever has to take its course, and that's what it is,
Okay.
because we have to look at the substantive issue on the other side, and let us not lose that focus at the same
Yeah.
time.
I understand.
And,
All right.
and the audience should understand the context of so that we don't segue one way and segue back,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, I understand. Now, the recommendation by the government is to dissolve MNIB as it is right now and create a public government partnership with public stakeholders. Was that part of your recommendation, or were you at did you have a seat at the table in those recommendations as representing the farmers and the fisheries in the final decision by government?
Well, I mean, I'm not in the cabinet. I mean, the cabinet, as the Prime Minister would have alluded yesterday, would have sat and they would have deliberated extensively, and among themselves, they would have come up with this conclusion. But Junior, I before you get there, I want us to go back a little bit, because this
Okay.
is very important, particularly in my role as the farmers and fishers representative in the Parliament of Grenada. Um, in October the 11th, I think it was 2022, at the sitting of the Senate, I had several motions that I presented at that sitting. I was accused of trying to rush the government, and it's just a short little sitting, first sitting, why I trying to put all of these things on the table. One of those things on the table, Junior, had to do with a calling for the review of the MNIB Act and
Right.
MNIB, such that it can able to better service our farmers, our fishers, etc., and our whole food security. And it was my obligation and responsibility to the farming community, based on the discussions that I've been having with them. And based on the pronouncement by the Honorable Prime Minister in July, I think it was, regarding information that he would have received from his permanent secretary in the Ministry of Finance, that MNIB is not on good standing. And as he said, he is notifying us that we would have to close it down, but he's preparing us just in case a tough decision has to be taken.
Right.
So bearing all of those things in mind, it was my responsibility, sitting in that space, to move that motion. And that is significant, because that is what you do in those levels of representation. That is where the bills, the laws, the acts, and so on are discussed. And it was to review it, to see what is happening in the whole space. What happened is that the government side say, look, why is all this thing about? We have an integrity commission report. You're going to cost the government that's their money to do some studies, so they cannot support that. On the other side, involves, if we understand how our parliament, our Senate is set up, you have 3 independent senators, myself, Labour, the business community, and of course 3 opposition. We are not all opposition, we are on the other side. That's what it is referred. But you have the opposition, which is 3, and of course 3. And we, on the other side, say, hey, no, this shouldn't really be put off. And so in our democracy and process of voting, the president then had to be the one who would make the decision, because the president has a tying vote or what has untying vote, as it is. And the president say, okay, well, there is a study, there is this review by the Integrity Commission. So she said, well, she would put off the debate and bring the report, and then we would move forward. This, to me, I think was a lost opportunity for our farmers and the Grenada. Because if this was entertained, then in October 11, 2022, a lot of what spiraled afterwards might have been able to stop, might have been able to be reduced. And even if at the end of the day, the conclusion was to do what the conclusion is at the end of the day, you are able to have a better approach in the whole consultative approach and process, and come up with something more meaningful and better. And I think that was a missed opportunity that the government had.
Right.
So while all this was waiting, October, November, December, January, February, we get the breaking news. You closed down. And of course, the government could have been subsidizing salaries, etc., etc. So could you imagine the same monies that we say that government would have paid, and a technical committee is established, and I show the technical committee is working for free. I didn't hear any budget surrounding that. The same technical committee could have been appointed then to look at that. So I think that we have failed our farmers, and we have failed our whole farming community by that short-sightedness in that. So I wanted to put it on record that while the government spoke, we spoke. And so then there was a consultation, horrid consultation. Notice went out like about 2 days before to meet with farmers. And this, of course, the farmers came out because it's their business. And I was very happy to see that, and very happy that Carriacou and PD Matic, which was not originally in the schedule, was eventually incorporated. And the farmers came out, I think they expressed their concern and they want to see the MNIB continue. Review it, yes. Look at different formats, etc. But not close, not what is repeal. Because once you repeal, you close, you're done, you're finished.
Right.
It's not going to come back in another form. So this story of it's going to come back in another form, it died.
Right.
It could only something else that comes. So I want us to not.
Your recommendation would it have been your recommendation that the government continue to sustain marketing board in its current structure and absorb all the expenses of marketing board and the losses, instead of trying to restructure it so it could hopefully become profitable? Would it have been your recommendation to continue with how it was in its initial stage?
In October 11, 2022, the clarion call went out to let's take stock. And the corollary of that is, I agree, we cannot continue to be going that bleeding way, because it will be for ending. But if we had stopped, do the review, we might be able to salvage and save a lot of those things. Of course, the stopping, I think, is a critical factor in terms of stopping to stop the bleeding, right? But at the same time, Junior, if we acted earlier, we would not have been in this hole, and they might have a plan, okay, that might have able to kick in earlier and revamp and refocus, because we have to not lose sight of this. The whole issue of our food security is a key factor. We must not lose sight about that. Food security. And so, if I'm hearing that you're going to go into a public-private partnership, which is a private business, which is like me and you set up a company and maybe government invest, Tom invest, Mary invest in it.
Right.
What is that obligation of these companies, of this company, to our whole national food security agenda? What is it? And if you say, well, okay, because it's a public-private partnership, then the agenda should be okay because government has say. So then what is different to the government going to all of these different food agriculture organizations, whether it's the supermarkets, etc., and saying to them, we want to set a policy to support what you're doing, and then don't worry about this public-private partnership to create all this duplication of resources and efforts in the country. That's an argument.
That's one aspect of looking at it. Another aspect where people are looking at it is that if it's a private-public partnership, then the private entity or the private individuals have a say in it. Now, when you talk about political involvement, right, how it was before, they don't really care to make a profit. Like anybody could fly out and do whatever they want to do, money spending. Nobody don't have no stake in it. But if I invest, I want to see the CEO working. I want to know that money is, it's turning over. They're importing, they're exporting. Things are, I'm getting a benefit out of it. So then the structure will be better. And that's just my view on it. And I think that is a better way forward.
A critical thinker will also say, Junior, that if you man up to what you have to do, whether you're private or whether you're public, we have to make sure that everybody's accountable. And I think Ruggles spoke to that without going back, that all institutions, whether it's private, whether it's a ministry, whether it's a body, they have to be accountable. So you cannot want to be enforcing on Tom and do enforce it on B. Is a mode of practice of where you're going. It's a mode of practice.
There was no accountability in the board setup. There was no accountability in the previous arrangement. It seemed like there was no accountability. They blatantly said that the chairman didn't even know what the CEO was doing.
Yeah. Let's speak about the public-private that you're speaking about. We need to see, Junior. Well, the first thing is that we have a committee there's a committee that was announced that has two farmers, a farmer from Carrico, a farmer from Grenada. So the question is, who are these farmers? How are they selected and identified? That's the first question. And then the trustees for agro-processing. And this, I think we all agree and endorse that. But I didn't hear about agro-processing specialists or agro-processing interests in that committee. So sometimes it's those things for a critical thinker that makes you wonder how we get there. Right. We have two lines. Right? Two lines. So the question begs, in whatever the public-private entity, what is that command and control in terms of accountability, in terms of that national responsibility to food security for this country? That is key, because we have to ensure food is handled in such a way that and I think that the government has to be careful how that is done. So I believe that legislation, is still critical in that space. Maybe it needs to be a legislative body in such a manner that there is some control in terms of the direction for our food. Otherwise, our farmers, our fisher folks, and all of those others who can participate, and we agree with that, can participate in that space.
Right.
But they must be able to have that legal national guarantee in that space. Okay? Because the fishing sector is a major interest. Our poultry sector is a major interest. And I think that was referred to our agro-processing sector, right? And how do we ensure that these folks get involved? And of course, how do you get other private persons? But at the same time, Junior, you can also look at another angle, meaning that you can have the regular food security, production, farmers, purchasing, etc., as one division of our private enterprise. And then of this enterprise, and then the private component
Right.
deals with this other export and agro processing, which would need more capital. And then the farmer input side with different fresh produce, etc., then become like an input into that component. Like I don't want to call that subsidiary. So
Right.
so you still keep that common good. You see, because this is the scale we have to be worried about. That scale of the farmers losing that security. You know, the guy in Chantimel, in the back of Richmond, back of Tilleries, you know, in Duquesne, you know, who gets his little $20, $30, or $50 every week from selling. The truck goes around the country to collect these items. What is the impact on him? You know, so I think that all of this, we trust that would come out at some stage in the modeling and discussion down the road. But I think that this should be legislated in such a way to provide that national guarantee. And so, because just like how in maybe 5 years, 3 years, there might be a decision to just wind up the company for some strange reason. Not
Right.
maybe it may not have to do nothing with, it may be some other issues that come up. How do you guarantee that? So these are concerns. Of course, I know it might be holidays, and that this technical team, that they have the capacity. We haven't seen the CV of this technical team, you know, because this is another important. What is the CV? What is the experience and so
Right.
on? Because normally in these things you need to have a profile of the people. If I want to do a live and I call Junior George, I expect to show me Junior George has done XYZ, and yes, he's a good man for the job, you know.
Right.
And similarly, of course, with the boards to be selected from then, of course, specifying some of these things, because that's the other thing too, you know, Junior.
Well, they had specified some of the things, and some of the recommendation is to have 2 farmers, a legal professional. They have some
Who is-
specific list of items. Ruggles said it. I mean, I'll post the whole entire interview
Yeah,
story.
but you see, is the government going to adapt that? And if you have a public-private enterprise, how does that enforce itself on that? You know, so I'm saying we have to be careful. You know, all I'm saying, we have to be careful with how that is approached. I think also, Junior, the issue of farm inputs is another important aspect that need to be considered. The issue of packaging and those sort of inputs need to also come into play in that entity, because the same farmers, the processors, these are limiting factors that I think could help. The issue of the market research, coordination, and all those things is critical. How do we get the hotels and the supermarkets, the restaurateurs, to become business partners inside of this space? They are
Right.
private entities, right?
Yeah.
They are private entities, and they could decide how they treat them. And so, well, I would continue buying from my regular farmers rather than connecting with this institution. How does this school feeding program, which basically is government procurement, our institutions like the hospitals, how are they going to be linked into this private entity?
Right.
You understand? Because whilst yes, we want to export, we need to ensure that our food security is guaranteed. And that's very important. To have a strong export market, you normally have to have a strong domestic market for those similar products, because there is something called market failures.
Right.
And when you have market failures, how do you backstop that? You know?
Okay. Well, we have a hard stop coming up in 5 minutes. So I want your conclusion on this here. If you, I know you, where you sit there, you're a senator, so you have a sit at the table in making, at least getting some information out. What would be your recommendation to the government at this point in time as they try to formulate this new entity, which would be act in replacing the MNIB? What would be your recommendation when you stand up next to talk?
Well, when I stand up there, then the entity might already be formed. So we say no,
Yeah.
because we speak. I mean, preliminary. I would say from where I sit, from my vantage point, we must look at the issue of legislation. I believe that we need to have a legislative body that going to allow that legislative body to form investment partners for enterprise that is progressive towards the whole agriculture sector. So it could be in farm machineries, because farm machinery, plowing up farmers' land, spraying, all of those different support services can also be part of the whole thing, right? The issue of packaging and all of those things. I think that we need to look at, as I mentioned, government need to look at its procurement policies and how do you increase procurement from this entity, because it's yours, it belongs to you, right? We have to also look, Junior, about the issue of agro processing that I mentioned, and how do we utilize that? How do we find niche markets within the diaspora? How do we get our diaspora folks to maybe form alliances, to form maybe subsidiaries that under like a sort of license. So you have like a license. Well, I don't want to say MNIB, whatever this institution is, you have like a sort of like a franchise, if you want to say that,
Right.
in
Yeah.
different parts of the world where diaspora and so on can invest, put on those things, and then create that really. I think those are what gonna help. But I think also the issue of building our technical capacity is important, making sure that we get the right technical people to be available for all of these things. The
Yeah.
issue of standards, the issue of standards and marketary requirement is key, Junior, because sometimes we speak about exporting, but there are a lot of stringent regulations and food safety issues that we must come and par with. Those are key. Those are key issues. Key issues. I think on the local space, we also need to have the local agro processors maintaining their identity, but at the same time collaborate to have national products that we take in volumes and bulk. So say for example, CMOS, for example. Whilst I may want to do my little thing here with CMOS, but we may identify 3 or 4 products that we can collaborate on and move internationally. And so this institution should be looking at all of those leveraging of those areas. These
Absolutely.
are just some preliminary thing, but it need to be sit down by people who know, and people we have, I would say, within Grenada and outside of Grenada, and you have agencies like the FAO and so on who we can consult with.
Yeah.
And I trust that as the PM mentioned, that the board that is there currently will wind down MNIB. I'm concerned about that. In that the capacity of the board to staircase this in such a manner properly. I have concerns about that. It's something that because you need to look and see what is it you want to do, and do you have the right people to get it done. That is important, so that we don't maybe end up having this thing drawn on beyond 6 months because it wasn't done properly. We end up in an abrupt end because we missed the boat. And I speaking from a wide range of understanding of the industry in terms of that.
Well, listen, Mr. Roderick St.Clair, Senator Roderick St.Clair, we thank you for sharing your thoughts here. Let me also, for clarification purposes, Mr. Roderick St.Clair has never been a member of the board. So for the people who are saying that, he should
Well,
take some
Judah, I want to maybe
other
justify mention. I
clarification.
don't really want to get involved with the audience and the stuff, but
Yeah,
sometimes audience we have to be careful what we say when we say, because sometimes we speak with limited knowledge. I not professing to be a professor, but
you're right.
we have to be careful. And I see someone wrote something about a smoke on my face, but I mean, if people who know me
Yeah,
would understand.
that's, yeah,
in fact, I always give the joke that I remember once, because I used to be in drawing competition myself, Jerry Hopkins and Brother J and so on. We used to be drawing as young kids in Mountain Double School. And I remember I came, I think it was second in a drawing, an OS drawing competition. And we went down in that hotel, right where Silver Sun is there right now, to collect our prize. And George Louison, I think, was the Minister for Education, and Maurice Bishop was also present at the OS office to collect this thing. And he said, "You're a serious man. Your face always serious." So sometimes maybe in life, maybe you every time you reflect, you
yeah.
try to also think that. But so I pity the opinion about
Yeah.
this. And,
Let me add to that clarification again. You not a member of the line ministry. You were not a part of the board. You were part of management that dealt with, at some point in time, you dealt with marketing. And I know you did a lot with marketing, because back in the day, I remember that you did even some promotion of outreach on one of my platforms then.
correct.
So I don't want to I don't want people to miss understand your position on
But we're
this.
speaking about 20 years. There's some folks that might be here, might have been maybe 10 or 12 years back then, with due respect. So we
Yeah,
understand that. I mean, and the point is that Shane is very important. I mean, you know me, the passion, the involvement in this business, because it's about upliftment. It's about
yes,
upliftment. At the end of the day, it's about upliftment. I mean, and that is what I deal with. I deal with objectivity. I could come across very, very harsh with the opinions, because I have seen a lot, I've read a lot, I've experienced a lot, and my opinion doesn't mean that I'm vexed with you. Your opinion, because I've grown and learned and trained to have
yeah,
rigorous debate. I say it to people, Andre, before you go. I remember myself as a young boy, Jerry Hopkins, which you know, and same Andre, Senator Luis. We grew
hmm,
up within the same neighborhood, sometime in August time we sit down studying together, and we had serious debates among ourselves then, serious debate. We are just young boys. So we this has been part of our thing, and we still are friends. They have nothing, nobody have no hidden agenda, and so on. For me, in particular, because I don't
right,
have no political, I don't belong to no political party. I don't want to be part of no political party. And of course, my agenda is to address the farmers' issue. And when the farmers come to deal with their business, they come to deal with their business. When the
right,
farmers ready to go and vote for a government, they vote for the government.
yeah,
And when they're ready to deal with their business, they call me
yeah,
and they say, "What's going on with CES? We apply for the CES, and then we find it taking long. What's going on?" Yeah. The same farmer might be deep inside. I pick up the phone, I call the CES, I say, "What's going on here, brother? So. And I give them back the email. They say, "Okay, good, no problem." And this is the sort of role and responsibility, and maybe that people need to understand that I do. You may see me in the parliament, see me in the Senate, but there's a lot of other communication I do with the farmers, the processors, the fishermen. We're in always communication. And so I'm always happy. I want to also recognize even the Ministry of Agriculture with the series of consultations that are happening now is very
yeah,
good, because they need to know what is happening. They need to get the feedback,
yes,
and then to figure out what the solutions are. So sometimes I might be quiet a lot, but publicly, but I'm in touch with the farmers, I'm in touch with what's going on, and I would speak when I know that there is the government, they get a
yeah,
chance to consult, because they need to get the information,
yeah.
not jump and stuff. So I want people to understand these things. It's there's no hard feelings about anything, and I'm free. You could connect with me anytime
And I
to
appreciate
have
that.
a debate on many other issues in the sector.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Roderick St.Clair, for taking the time and chat with us here, bring further clarification on this situation here involving the MNIB. We'll keep in touch, my brother. Stay safe.
Thank you. Cheers. All the best.
Yeah. Yeah, again, guys, the full interview with myself and Ruggles Ferguson will be posted on the Ride Along platform, so you guys could check it out. It's about 25 minutes long, but I want you guys to watch it. It's very, very interesting, and he made declaration of a number of things that probably a lot of people didn't know. So we'll post it sometime tonight. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of our programming. We got a quick commercial break and I'll come with some closing words. Don't move. We'll be right back.
I want you folks to play these 3 games from the NLA. Daily pick 3 cash flow and play with. You will be supporting sports and culture, nation building and our future. So go out and play, folks, make it a must. You will see what the National Lottery is doing for us. When you play pick 3 cash flow and play with, the NLA will support you all the way.
Starting September 30th, Monday to Friday, these 3 games will be drawn mid-morning, 9:45 a.m., midday, 12:45 p.m., and evenings, 7:45 p.m. The National Lotteries, supporting sports, culture, and nation building.
Sunday money day.
Yeah, guys, now we understand that this whole conversation about MNIB is a very topical one. People are very passionate about it. People have varying views as to if MNIB should be closed or restructured or not, right? But I firmly believe that a restructuring of MNIB was imminent, because I see it from the point of view where government is basically putting all these monies on a monthly basis to sustain something that doesn't look unsustainable in its current format. So I believe the reconstruction and the reformulation of whatever comes out, whatever the new name might be, might ultimately mean good, right? Hopefully it's set up in a way that it would also be profitable. But with the public-private partnership, I believe it's a good way forward, because, you know, I'm even interested in investing into the public-private partnership. And I would want to see that the people, the CEOs, and whoever is managing the daily runaround of the marketing board or whatever it's called, are doing their job and they're not wasting the funds, right? And I want to see oversights. And probably that was the thing that was missing. Probably that is what was missing in the previous structure of the MNIB. Let's wait and see. Anyway, guys, we thank you guys for watching on this Valentine's Day. I know there are so many things that you guys could be doing at this point in time, but you did take the opportunity to chime in with us here. And we say thank you. We appreciate you so much. On behalf of all our production team here at Ride Along Live, our senior executive producer, Lois JJ, our moderators taking care of things, we have Lois, we have Kibbs, we have Gail, and we have Deanne Fraser. Don't forget, guys, that QR code that's on the screen right over, it's right here, right there, that QR code right there. That's for the Ride Along trip to Dubai. Yes, we are going to Dubai and we want to take you guys along with us. Click that link and make that purchase. It's only $250 is the discount down payment, $250, guys, right? And you have 6 months or so to pay off the total balance. Just scan that code or click that link. I want to see you guys right along to Dubai. That's in October, but you have to book now, all right? You have to book now. Click that link or go to riderstravel.com for more information. Again, guys, thank you for watching. We'll catch you guys again tomorrow. Good night.
On Saturday, March 18th, it's time to report for duty as New Face Promotion presents Revo Dance 19.
Do you know what it means to have a revolution?
Revo Dance 19.
Here I come. with love and not hate.
All taking place at 178 Newport Street, Brooklyn, New York. Get your $40 tickets now. More at the door. For ticket info, contact 347-304-5453. And you must be 21 and over. Music by Exterminator Sound. Live from Canada. From New York, Joe Bailey. Silence, No Apology, DJ Synergy, and DJ Hot Stepper. Table and bottle packages available. Dress code Army Green or Camouflage. A special prize for the best dress, male or female. And listen, when you buy your ticket early, you can win a return ticket with JetBlue to Grenada in the month of May and June 2023. It's Revo Dance 19, Saturday, March 18, 178 Newport Street.
Established in 1998, Ross Road and Funeral Services continues to assist you plan the ideal funeral or memorial service locally or internationally. Our reputation is built on providing personalized funeral services based on love and compassion. Call Ross Road and Funeral Services at 718-547-0640.
Ross Road and Funeral Services, where your loved one is our loved one.
Carpentry and Cleaning Service Inc., providing exceptional carpet and cleaning, floor installation, refinishing, home renovations, drywall, painting, plastering, doors and moldings, electrical and plumbing, and much more. We are a one-stop shop for all your professional needs. Give us a call today on 718-221-5572. That is 718-221-5572. Or you can call our cell on 917-939-3192. Check out our sales on all services. We're located at 218 Schenectady Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. Phillips Carpentry and Cleaning Service Inc.
Grenadian products are now only a mouse click away at GrenadaMarket.com. Nutmeg and guava jams, jellies and the syrups, world famous nutmeg pain relief spray, black sage, soursop, lemongrass, and bois bande bar. Ordering is simple and friendly. All major credit cards accepted. Safe, secure shopping guaranteed. GrenadaMarket.com ships your product anywhere in the world. So when you can't go to the island, the products off the island can be sent to you. Just log on to www.grenadamarket.com and experience our quick delivery and homely service.